Hi there, it's Jonathan here. This is 2450 and we're reading the book of Genesis in 24 days. We're in Genesis chapters 10 and 11. We've already been introduced to the concept of blessings and curses. There is a sense of mystery about them both. The Bible teaches that blessing and cursing is a very real phenomena and has real life outcomes. For a person of the ancient Near East, blessing and cursing was objective truth. Words mattered, and they carried with them immense power depending on the status of the one giving the blessing or curse. Obviously, when God did the blessing or cursing, it was a very serious thing. Chapter 10 begins with another genealogy. This is to ground the history of Israel in reality and cultural context, and also to track the outcome of some of God's words. In 925, the Lord pronounced a curse on Ham and his descendants. To us, it might seem like a little bit of overkill for failing to cover up your drunk dad, but it's meant to communicate to us that actions of honor matter, and the results of sin are consequential. God's words are the most important power in all of creation. When he blesses, it's impacting, and when he curses, it's devastating. Ham's descendants listed in 10:6 are a who's who of pagan nations who give Israel grief throughout the Old Testament. You've got the Canaanites, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Philistines. 10:15, the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites. A lovely bunch, really. This speaks into the truth that God judges the sins of the fathers to the third and fourth generations. 10:32 tells us that these early peoples have taken seriously the command to be fruitful and multiply. They spread out over the earth, an ancient version of the baby boom. Chapter 11 tells us that the whole world, now this is a localized Middle Eastern world, the whole world has one language. Again, let's keep our eyes out for types. 11:4 says that rather than calling on the name of the Lord, which is what they did in Genesis 4:26, the peoples of the world are focused on making a name for themselves. They are literally trying to storm heaven. There's so much to reflect upon here as a type for the dark heart of humankind. The devil tempted Eve to disobey God in order that she might become like him. In other words, to storm heaven and take what is God's. This is what the Tower of Babel is all about. The sinful heart of humanity rising up to clutch at God in order to somehow take over his throne. Philippians 2 says that Jesus did not consider equality with God something to be grasped. Though he was God, he did not try to clamber for the Father's position, but in humility gladly obeyed. The Lord scattered them. This is the genesis of the nations who will all hear the good news in their own tongue, the spread of sin and the spread of grace. Think of what happens at Pentecost. The good news of Messiah is proclaimed in the languages of the nations. There's a hint of God's master plan at work here, back with the scattering of the peoples. 11:10 moves us steadily toward the key character of the story of faith in all the Bible, Abram, who will be called Abraham. Importantly, the one who will be the father of the nations and the carrier of the great promise of God's blessing is married to a woman named Sarai, who is unable to bear children herself. In contrast to the people trusting in their own strength and building a tower to the heavens, the story of God's people is always one of trust in his goodness to do the impossible. Later in Romans 4, we will hear that Abraham, against all hope, in hope, believed. There's good stuff to come with this bloke named Abram. Enjoy God's word.